next item is item 2.03, presentation of the class of 2020 graduation ceremony information. If you would indulge me for a minute or two, I'd like to kind of take us back to get us where we are today. Initially, when we shut down the schools on Friday, March 13th, I truly assumed we'd be back to school in about 2 to 3 weeks and life would go on as normal. Obviously, that wasn't the case. Then a couple weeks later, Governor Ducey ordered all schools to remain closed for the rest of the school year, and remote learning began. Once Governor Ducey shut down the schools for the rest of the year, my first thought was graduation. What were we going to do? Will there be graduation? And if so, what would that look like? Many questions were lingering with no real answer at all. And as we were moving forward, we had to think a little bit and we had to decide what can we do. First and foremost, I want everyone to know, those that are watching, those that are with us here right now, there's nothing better than a face-to-face traditional graduation, and nothing can truly replace that experience. With all the restrictions that were in place, and many still are in place, we had a couple options to consider. First option was postpone graduation. We gave this a great amount of thought. Ultimately decided not to go this route because we didn't know how long restrictions would be in place, and if it was postponed, would students still attend? Would they still be in town? If we set a date in June and then we had to reschedule, we continue to disappoint our 3,100 seniors. And so we really pondered that, but so many different things that were in play that we couldn't predict. The second option that we considered was virtual graduation. This was pretty much the go-to plan for every district in the state of Arizona and probably the country. But we didn't just want to do a slideshow with a picture and the name of a student. We were looking for something unique, something that sets us apart from everyone else. We stumbled across a company called VX3. They could provide this unique experience that no other district that we know of was doing, while having the students participate while adhering to social distancing guidelines. And this is something Mrs. Taylor will go over in just a few minutes. As you all know, we went with the virtual option. This decision was not taken lightly, and we considered many different avenues to graduation. We understand that this impacts our 3,100 students and their families, and we want to give them the very best experience possible considering the restrictions that we're dealing with. Ultimately, we had to make the decision. Governor Ducey came out last week, and we were all waiting to hear what he would have to say and how that would impact schools and graduations. And he basically just extended the stay home, stay safe, and stay connected order while dealing with some things and lightening some things related to retail. Knowing that we were pressed for time and VX3 would need several days to film and produce a final version of graduation for our 7 schools, we had to move down the virtual road. On Sunday, May 3rd, we sent out an email explaining that graduation ceremonies were canceled and a virtual graduation would take its place. On Monday, May 4th, high school principals sent specific information about the virtual graduation to the students and parents. That same afternoon, Governor Ducey held another press conference. This is something we didn't know was going to happen as a school district. In this press conference, he talked about slowly opening up restaurants and hair salons with strict social distancing restrictions. Again, we had no idea about this announcement, but we really didn't think it impacted graduation one way or another. After my initial email went on the 3rd, we heard from parents and students about their disappointment of not having a real graduation. That amplified even more over on the 4th after Governor Ducey made his announcements related to restaurants and salons, which brings us to this evening. Tonight, I'd like to ask Ms. Taylor to go through what our virtual graduation will look like. This is something that we will move forward with over the next couple weeks. I think regardless of where our discussion leads tonight, this will be something that all students and parents will enjoy once the finished product is produced. After Ms. Taylor presents her information, I'd like to discuss the possibility of having an optional modified graduation ceremony or celebration in June, pending the restrictions sent forth by the state and the CDC. One of our neighboring districts came out today with that type of option. I believe that we'd be remiss if we didn't discuss it. More than anything, I want our students and our parents to know that we hear their thoughts, their concerns, and their suggestions, and we are open-minded group of people who are willing to listen and discuss thoughts, concerns, and suggestions. So right now, I'll turn it over to Mrs. Taylor.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mrs. Taylor. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, Dr. McCord, Dr. Santa Cruz, governing board members. I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit more detail tonight about the innovative plan that we have put into motion so far for our 2020 graduations. I think John's gonna get the slideshow put up there, so I'll wait just a minute. There we go. All right. So go ahead, John, to the next one. All right. So we, as Dr. McCord mentioned, we had VX3 submit a scope of work that really included a lot of attention to all of the details in this list. So I'm going to start by doing my best to explain each of these items first, and then we have a few photos and a couple videos that should help to better understand for those viewers watching and for everybody involved kind of what technology will be involved, as Dr. McCord referenced. The first thing that VX3 took into account was our current climate that we're in right now and the social distancing requirements that are in place. So the first item on the list, a hologram, and that is something that they have built in-house. They have an in-house system that uses a specialized material that allows them to project a virtual person on the stage that is not physically present in the room. So the system will give the illusion that the person is standing on the stage with the graduate, but they are really in another room with a green screen, and viewed through a camera, it looks like they're actually on the stage behind a podium handing the student their diploma cover. It shows depth and features exactly as if they were on stage. So it's not superimposed video or editing. It actually requires the person in the other room, which would be our principals in this case, to be in a remote studio in order for that to function. So it's extremely innovative, and it will probably make a little bit more sense when Jay, the owner of this company, explains that in the demonstration video. The second thing on the list is the unique design for 7 different schools. So they use some LED backgrounds. They actually built an LED wall in the Mesquite Junior High auditorium today that acts as a background for placing the specific school logos or images that our schools have selected to custom brand each of our schools. So again, innovation to the core as far as how to make each one unique and very specific to our 7 different high schools. The third item listed on there is the video system that they're using. It includes all the switching of the cameras. It includes the lower thirds and the pre-editing of the stream prep. So they will include a lower third on that stream that will include the student's name. It'll again have the school logo as each student is being called and walking up onto the stage to receive their diploma cover. The video system drives the hologram, the LED wall, the recording systems, the cameras, for that actual finished product that would be projected live stream on, we're hoping, on our graduation dates, May 21st. The audio system, again, is equipment that is used to drive that audio back and forth between the remote studio and the stage. It includes drives for recording and the streaming setup as well. They plan on creating a backup recording that would also be included. And of course, they're using some wireless communication systems to for the crew, a huge crew of about 20 of them, to piece this all together and make it look exactly correct from the viewer's standpoint. The scenic piece of that includes touching lecterns, so the podiums that the principal would be standing behind, and then the one that's on the stage that the student will walk up to and grab their diploma cover. They have the ability to either use a vinyl application to the front, but in this case, we're going to use LED projection again, because it can be changed instantaneously for each of the schools that we are going to film. It includes making the drape and the light control for the remote studio possible as well. So the next item on there, the remote studio, the green screen, again, each of our principals will be in a separate room with a green screen that has all the lighting and all the monitors for the remote presenter, the principal, to be holographically transported to the stage in the final product. So it includes monitors and drive systems so that both the presenter, the principal, as well as each student, as they go up onto the stage, see a monitor and be able to hear and see through that monitor the principal in the other. There's some feedback there. So they will coordinate the handing of that diploma cover, even though it's all virtual. The student will pick up that diploma cover and then walk off the stage with that. They had power covered. Our auditoriums are not equipped to handle the power that is required for all of this technological equipment. So they brought in a rental generator to take care of that piece. The labor, obviously, all of that is a lot of setup, tear down, and operations of all of these systems. Both Dr. McCord and I were able to sneak over there today and took some of the pictures that you'll see that will hopefully help explain this a little bit better. But the whole production, including setup, dismantle, and all of the filming of our schools, is 12 days of work on the site at Mesquite Junior High. And in the letter that Dr. McCord referenced that this sent out on Monday, we knew there would be questions about why we were picking Mesquite Junior High School as the location for these students to attend. And that was very intentional because of the length of time that it would take to set up each of our separate auditoriums for this. And so time was a crunch, a consideration. And then also, if we were to set up, for example, at Gilbert High School, our Desert Ridge students would be asking the question, why do we have to go to Gilbert to walk across their stage? So we tried to pick a neutral site that would allow students to feel more comfortable. It wasn't one of their other competing high schools stages that they would have to go to and walk across. The pre-production is the formatting and obviously the creation of the background for each school. We have sent them files with each school's crests, logos, so that they can use that to display not only on that LED wall with the curtain, and you'll see it in a moment, but the curtain and the ribbon, each school is able to select which color they would like that in. So obviously we can include each school's specific school colors. The music videos, the last item on there, the content edit and stream prep. Music videos from each school can actually be inserted into the program, very similar to what they would see if they were in their graduation in their stadium or at Desert Financial Arena. each school is able to send their specific orchestra, choir, or band musical performances to insert into the final product. They will edit that. That includes all their editing studio, the prep, all of that, hopefully to be delivered live stream at the time of our scheduled graduation. That time, they'll eliminate all the gaps and the spaces will be removed. They will insert the speeches from all of our vals, sals, student council speakers, our principals speaking, Dr. McCord speaking. All of those will be inserted into the video and the final production. And then, of course, it is accessible from that point on for any of our families to be able to save, preserve, record, share with family members across the country, and so forth. John, if you want to show some of the pictures, and then we'll do the videos. This is the LED wall that they were assembling that you'll see in a moment. The last picture that I took when I was just over there at the end of the day actually has the LED projection of the Desert Ridge High School crest and the curtains of a stage. So in a couple slides, you'll see how that LED wall turns into that. This is the green room where the principal, you can kind of see the podium that's there, but all of the equipment around it. So there is a camera, there's cameras projecting back to the stage, but they also have a monitor in front of them where they will be actually reading the names of the students, and they'll be able to see the student walking up onto the stage, even though they're not in the same room as the student. Again, just more of the crew setting up. I think the last picture has this is kind of what the final product of the stage actually looks like. And the podium's not in that one. I don't know if we have one more that kind of shows the podium. Yeah, you can see the podium on the left of that photo with the green screen kind of behind it. That's the monitor where they will actually see the principal on that monitor as they're walking up to the podium. The gentleman in the picture is walking exactly how the student would walk up to that podium to receive their diploma cover. They would see and hear the principal calling their name and congratulating them, and then they'll walk back off. But you can see how the Desert Ridge crest is projected on the wall, that LED wall in the back, and it looks very similar to the actual auditorium of Desert Ridge High School with those red curtains and the black behind it in their school colors.
Thank you, Mr. Cassano. For our viewers, we'd like to apologize for that technical issue. We know that this is an important topic for you. I'll let Dr. McCord pick up from where he left off. And the question was related to the logistics of getting students in and out and parents being available to view that event. So do you want to take it from there, Dr. McCord?
Thank you, Dr. Santa Cruz, governing board members. I will. Ms. Wood asked, why can't parents, the questions have been asked of us, why can't we watch our student walk across the stage? And what I iterated was the fact that they won't actually get to see anything in particular other than their child walking across the stage. There will not be a person on the stage physically handing them a diploma. As Ms. Taylor explained earlier, that will be a hologram projected from another room. All of this is based around the social distancing premise, as well as keeping people safe. When students exit the vehicle, and we'll have a group of them, they'll be social distance at least 6 feet away in a line going through the auditorium and across the stage. Once they've virtually accepted their diploma, they will go to a room adjacent to the auditorium. They will take a picture with a professional photographer. Then they will exit back to their vehicles. Those vehicles won't be parked in parking spaces. They will all be in a line, probably 2 lines out in the parking lot at Mesquite Junior. They will enter their car and then exit the facility as we take the next group. Ms. Taylor, how long do we project again from the car back to the car for a student to take to get through there? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. When we walked it, it was 2 minutes from car to car, but with the added just pauses and delay and kind of waiting, we estimate 5 minutes total from car to car. They'll stop at a sanitation, if we can get the video to work, they'll stop at a sanitation table, and they will have the opportunity to stand in front of a mirror, adjust their cap before they walk in, just like they would before they left, the backstage rooms in our regular graduations. And then weave through the auditorium, up the stage, like Dr. McCord said, back out towards the parking lot, but stopping in a room to get that photo taken with their diploma cover, and then back to the car. So 5 minutes is what we're estimating if we can keep the flow kind of going, which is also part of the reason for only having the senior student get out of the vehicle and back in. We have schools that have 800 and some graduates, so continuing to be able to film this and do it in a timely manner, the more people that are involved, obviously the longer it would take as well.
I have 2 questions. How will the student receive their diploma cover? Oh, can you hear me? Okay. How will the student receive their diploma cover? And also the second question, will there need to be someone who remains in the vehicle so the vehicle travels while they're gone in the line?
I'll start with the last question. The vehicle will not travel while they're gone. So if the student is alone, they will put it in park, lock it, whatever they would normally exit, it'll stay right there. But those, let's say 15 students would be all getting out from that one line at the same time. And obviously then the first person would exit, would go on stage first, get back in their vehicle, drive away, second, third. So that whole line has then exited before the next line pulls in. But there's a secondary line, like Dr. McCord mentioned, behind them, that those students would then be released out of their vehicle and go in, so that it just continues that flow going into the auditorium and back to the vehicles. That's why they wouldn't be actually parked in the parking lot. As far as how students will receive their diploma, they're going to receive, most of our schools have their diploma covers already at their sites. So the student, most of them would receive it that day. There are a couple schools that the shipping is backed up. They're in a warehouse in Kentucky or somewhere. So there's a couple schools where we would have to have a different date for them to get their actual diploma cover. But all of the students would have their diplomas, their actual diplomas and the program mailed to them after the graduation date. So we're going to wait for all grades to post, and then we are printing actual programs like we would typically do at a regular graduation, so that those students would have that as a memory with their names all listed, with the GPA designations in there, ValSal's designations in there, with everybody listed and so forth. So they will receive that in the mail with their actual diploma.
Okay, and my one more question, just follow up on the diploma cover. Is there someone from the company that will stock those where the students pick them up?
Yes, and the company has insured us, and you'll see in the video, if we can get that going, that they will all be wearing masks and gloves and all of those things that are the requirements right now. They have considered and kind of thought through all of that. So it's been pretty impressive working with this company. They're really on their game.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Dr. Santa Cruz?
Right ahead, Mr. Jetty.
Dr. McCord, when the question that I asked you when this first kind of went down, I think probably was not heard by everybody, but the question I asked was about how this company was able to pull this off and if we were the only ones. Do you mind answering that again, just in case it wasn't heard?
You bet. Thank you again for that question. This company works, their primary source of income, I guess the best way to put it, is they work several events. They work for Fortune 500 companies, Microsoft, Intel, a lot of the big name companies. This is that company who was part of, and I'll say this, you may or may not understand what I'm saying or remember it, but years ago when they did a hologram concert of Tupac, who's now passed away, but they were part of that. And at that time, that was some very big, innovative ways to do a concert. And so, flash forward to now, one of the employees at the company was just kind of lamenting about how his kid won't be able to have a graduation just like everybody else because of COVID-19. And they started brainstorming on how could we give a student and families the very best opportunity virtually to experience graduation while still adhering to CDC guidelines of social distancing and keeping health and safety at the forefront. And so they developed this, and that's how we're sitting here today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Questions, board members, or are we ready to view the video? Mrs. Taylor, go ahead.
Okay, we'll try it again with John. He's running the video because I think there were some settings in order for everybody to hear it. He had to do some special magic to get it to go. So hopefully it'll work this time. The first demo video is kind of the explanation of the technology involved and the social distancing plan that the company presented to us. And the first one's a little bit longer. And as I introduced before, I don't know if that was on the live stream or not, but they set this particular video from their warehouse in Phoenix. So they have come up with the plan specific to Mesquite Junior High location so that all of our students did not have to drive all the way to Phoenix. So that is where you will see, and he'll explain kind of those things in this one. And then the second video is a little bit shorter, and it shows from the viewer's perspective of what we would see as a final product. Again, it's not using our kids, but it's using their employees to show the best they can, since they don't have a sample video from an actual graduation. They created these just so we could use them to try to explain some of these technological wonders that they're planning to do. So go ahead, John.
Okay, we're going to give this a try again.
Hi there, and welcome to our demo. My name is Jay Kohler. I am the managing partner and CEO of VX3 and Solid State Designs in Phoenix, Arizona. We know that these times have been especially difficult for our graduating class of 2020, and we have come up with a product that we believe is the solution to allow your graduates to still get the satisfaction of walking and graduating while practicing social distancing, keeping everybody safe, and having a unique experience that people remember for a long time. What you're going to see here is a product that we've developed in-house that uses holographic technology, LED screens, high-end broadcast cameras, and a lot of ingenuity to get what you're about ready to see. So let's go ahead and take a look. What you're seeing here is a soundstage that we built in our 27,000 square foot warehouse. This soundstage is actually fully functional, and we're able to hold the graduation here. And I'll get into the logistics a little bit later on how that happens. But it's important to know that this product is mobile, it's scalable, and it's repeatable. So we could do this all over the valley, all over the country if we need to, and be able to reproduce the same product as long as we have enough stage for the students to walk across and complete control over the ambient lighting. So what you're looking at is obviously a stage, and behind me is an LED wall that shows any digital backdrop we want. This can be a backdrop of your auditorium. This could be simply a curtain. It could be maybe just the logos of your school. It doesn't really matter what it is. We could change it up, and we could change it up instantaneously, and we could even change it through the program if we wanted to. Let me show you the important part, though. I'm going to bring in Mark, who's playing the role of our dean or principal in our isolation studio. So now what you're looking at is me still on stage by myself, but I've got Mark in our isolation studio who can see me, who can actually talk to me, interact with me, and it looks like he's right here on stage. This is our in-house built hologram technology. Hey, Mark, how's it going in the isolation studio?
It's going good, Jay.
What you doing over there?
Staying healthy and staying isolated.
Awesome. So as you can see, it looks just like he's on stage with me. We're even able to interact. I could even come up and give him a little social distancing elbow bump if I wanted to. So this is what it looks like, and this is what your people will see on the other side of the broadcast. Now, this could be recorded and sent out. It could be live broadcast. It could be edited into sections and pushed out. The possibilities are pretty much endless, and all of that happens in-house here with one solution. You don't have to go out and try to figure all the IT stuff out. We've already got that handled for you. So let me show you how it works a little bit behind the scenes. We can't have an in-person graduation because of social distancing and health concerns. We've developed a system to make sure we have the absolute minimum amount of crew required to run this. All of our crew is required to follow certain sanitation protocols before they enter the building, and utilizing stuff like robotic camera control and IP and IT-based technologies. All of our techs are spread out throughout the building, never having to have physical contact with anybody or each other once the show is underway. I'm going to take you into our isolation studio to show you where our colleague Mark was earlier on in the video. So here I am in the isolation studio, and I'm going to actually invite onto the stage the very, very first graduate of a virtual holographic graduation, Ike Towers. Ike, congratulations on a great year. Come and get your virtual diploma. Congratulations, Ike. What do you think?
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here, able to graduate, and I'm excited that my family all over the country will be able to see me.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Ike. Next, I'm going to take you outside to show you how we're going to manage the people and how we're going to actually get them in and out of the building. Here we are outside of our warehouse in our parking lot. I want to show you some of the logistics on how we're going to handle people and handle the flow of traffic to make sure nobody ever has to have any physical contact. In our case, we've got a couple large lots that we could stage people in, and we would have radio communication with the people directing traffic. As you can see over here, we've got some cones set up with our vehicles, and they're more than 15 feet apart, and everybody would remain in their vehicles until we're ready to stage them and bring them in. We'll bring them in 3 people at a time, but not 3 people at a time where they're going to be close together. For example, I would be the 3rd person standing out here, and the 2nd person is actually going to be inside at our sanitizing station, and I'll show that to you now. Our 2nd staging position is just inside the door at our sanitation station. Here, students could sanitize, and we could make sure that the area remains sterile for everybody coming in. Even though they have no interaction with any people or any objects, we want to make sure we're taking every precaution necessary to keep people safe. Once they're done here, their name will be called, and they'll be able to walk the stage. I'll take you over there now. And here's the 1st staging position. This is where the student will be when they're waiting for their name to be called. It's about 30 feet from our sanitation station, and there will be dividers, so when one student is coming up and the other is going down, they never have any contact, and there's an actual physical separator. So when they walk up, they take their diploma, and as you can see here, you can see the monitor in the background. That's where they'll be able to see the dean or the principal, whoever is actually giving them the diploma, and interact, and they'll be able to see the hologram in front of them as well. Once they receive that, they simply walk off stage, and they actually walk out of another entrance in our building, get back in their cars, and depart, and their graduation is done. Thank you for watching our demo. We think we got a great solution and a great product to bring some normalcy to a horrible situation that was dealt to us and give the graduating class of 2020 not only something that they're going to be able to take with them, we hope that it's something that will be very, very unique to them. Mark, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your help. How about one more elbow bump just for fun? Yeah, there you go. Again, thank you so much. Our contact info will be on the bottom of the screen. Give us a call at any time. Looking forward to talking to you. And just a reminder, this is completely scalable. And what you saw is just a model. We could take this and adapt it to almost any situation, not only just here in Arizona, but around the country. Thanks a lot.
So that was more of the technology and social distancing plan. That this video will show you more of a graduation tour perspective. And again, this is the one that they created specifically for us so that we had a better gauge of what the end product might look like.
Hello and welcome back. You saw our demonstration on how we're going to do a virtual graduation using holographic technology. We had a couple of requests to see what the final product would look like for the viewers at home. So we went ahead and set up the studio again, and we're going to show you that now. What you're going to see is you're going to see the actual walking part of graduation, the main part, students walking across stage in real time, and then you're going to see the same sequence with all the holes cut out and the final touches like lower thirds added in, so you could actually experience what the at-home viewer will see. With that, let's just go ahead and get started and invite our first graduate up on stage, Ike Towers. Ike, congratulations on a great year.
Thank you very much.
Our next graduate is Paul Breen. Paul, congratulations, 4.0 grade point average. Great job.
Thank you.
Next is our valedictorian, Ergon Schmitz. Congratulations, Ergon.
Thank you. I knew I could do it.
And our final graduate is Ike Towers' twin brother, Mike Towers. Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you.
And that's pretty much how the sequence would go. Now you're going to see it in the actual timing with all the holes cut out, final touches put on it, and this is exactly what the viewers at home will see. Ike Towers. Ike, congratulations on a great year.
Thank you very much.
Our next graduate is Paul Breen. Paul, congratulations, 4.0 grade point average. Great job.
Thank you.
Next is our valedictorian, Ergon Schmitz.
Thank you. I knew I could do it.
And our final graduate is Ike Towers' twin brother, Mike Towers. Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We hope this gives you a little bit better feeling on what the viewer will see at home for the final product. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at any time.
All right. So hopefully that gives you a little bit better idea. We will have this presentation posted on our website as well, so that if there are families that are wanting to take a look at that aren't watching right now, they are absolutely welcome to access those videos and get a little better idea of what we were talking about with the technology. And this gives you kind of a general idea of what items we are including in all 7 of our graduations. So you can see that the musical inserts, the salutatorian address, valedictorian, principal's address, the acceptance of the graduates by the governing board, closing speakers, specific music selections from each school will be provided that this company will be dropping into the final production. As far as pomp and circumstance and the introduction, and then like we showed you with the specific schools, press and logos and the photos that we have attached in this this video. So it's as close to an actual, the end product will be as close to an actual graduation ceremony as we can possibly make it at this point. Again, this program order in the actual school, brochure will be mailed to the students along with their diploma, so that they have that to remember, and parents can look at it and use that for reviewing later on as well. I think the last slide just shows kind of our timeline as far as when we sent out our district and school communication, the board meeting, and then the timeline for filming all of our schools, students our seniors at Mesquite Junior High. The goal right now of doing a live stream on May 21st for all of our schools at 7 p.m. We will confirm that. We have to set up some separate YouTube channels for each of our high schools and make sure that the VX3 is able to project all of those live streamed at the same time. So if anything, it'll be some time around there, and we will make sure that everybody's aware of that. We may have to stagger the time frames, but again, around that date of May 21st is the goal. Right, that takes care of our program, unless anybody has any additional questions after seeing the videos or anything else.
Dr. Santa Cruz, I do.
Go ahead, Ms. Eugenia.
Ms. Taylor or Dr. McCord, as of May 5th at 7:58 p.m., which is what time it is right now, what exactly were your guidelines based on what the governor gave us, so that the parents can know that what we were having to deal with in terms of trying to make this decision?
Are you talking about social distancing guidelines?
Basically all of them. I mean, yeah, I mean, I know I'm asking you a lot, but social distancing and how many people can be involved and why we had to come to this point.
We are recognizing what the CDC, obviously they've relaxed those guidelines a bit for reopening America, I guess is the best way to put it. So they'll be able to do certain things in restaurants where they can have a limited number of people that can be in there. For us, we're gonna adhere to the social distancing guidelines in terms of being 6 feet apart, making sure sanitation is correct, and again, having those individuals in and out of that auditorium as quickly as possible. To make sure the safety's adhered to. Two, to make sure that the line's flowing extremely well, so we can get all of our graduates. We have 850 schools with 850 students, all the way down to 75 students, and so we'll be making opportunity to adhere to those guidelines as we move through.
And just as part of that, though, also the number of people that can be involved. To my knowledge, as of right now, it's no more than 10 at a time. Am I correct in that?
I believe you are correct. And that is in one specific area. There might be other people in other rooms that aren't even in the same area as those folks, but that's what our goal is.
Right, and what the reason I'm asking this is that I know that there's a lot of things that have happened in the last few hours. I just want us to, I want our community to understand where you got to this point as of right now. That could change tomorrow morning or next week or whatever. But as of right now, what we had to deal with, what you had to deal with, what our district had to deal with, is we were going by the guidelines that were given to us by the governor and the CDC. Am I correct in that?
You are correct.
Thank you.
Yes, large groups cannot congregate together, so we can't fill our stadiums right now, according to the CDC.
And it's my understanding that, even like with the Major League Baseball, they're thinking about going back like the 1st of July. But at this point right now, they're thinking that if they do, they're going to be not playing, or they're going to be playing for television revenue, not with people. I don't know, that could change tomorrow also.
Right.
But my point in this whole question is where we are right now at 8:01 on May 5th.
Dr. Santa Cruz, I have a question.
Ms. Humphries.
Thank you. Mrs. Taylor, the musical selections, are those going to be pre-recorded selections that the schools put into the video?
Yes, that's correct. They're using their own choir, their own, not to record right now, because obviously they can't get together in a group as well. But our auditorium managers do a nice job of recording all of these events, all of concerts. So they're selecting their favorite or best musical pieces. Some of them have selected pieces that would typically be performed during a baccalaureate celebration, at a graduation. And so it will be kind of nice because each school is able to select which groups, or they're using a recording of a concert that happened this school year with those particular students that are in the graduating class right now. So that would be also a nice option for our schools.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Dr. McCord, a side benefit, if there is one, I concur with your first statement, and that was nothing can replace the person-to-person large-scale graduations that we are famous for in this district. But one of the things that is a silver lining in this particular mode is the fact that first time ever, if there is a silver lining, a parent or parents and family members and their graduate can sit in their living room on the night that would have been graduation, and that's assuming all of our timelines are met, and watch the event together right there sitting next to their graduate. So while that is a benefit, it's a small consolation because those families will be together watching, listening, and participating in a virtual form in that event. So that's a positive, I suppose. And again, hoping that all of the timelines can be met so that in fact we can broadcast all of those graduations on the same evening. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Santa Cruz, I can also think of another advantage. You may remember a couple of years when you had to deal with a lot of rain, and we won't have to deal with that issue.
That's exactly true. And it wasn't COVID-19, but it did get cold on one of those evenings. Dr. McCord, back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Santa Cruz, governing board members. Kind of my last portion of my statement that I think is important that we discuss. And Chandler School District came out this afternoon saying that they were going to hold a graduation ceremony that is in person, and with the idea, and I'll pardon me, but I'll read through this so I don't mess it up. Students will be seated 6 feet apart on a field, and they may be wearing masks. The ceremony will be live streamed to allow all guests to see the graduates accept their diploma. They may be able to accommodate a limited audience. However, that decision will not be made until more information is available. And so this is something that I think we need to discuss because, as you know, in education and in the Valley, and we've heard it because there's been other school districts on the west side that will be attempting to do some face-to-face graduation type ceremony, I think, more than likely adhering to the social distancing guidelines. Once that hit, of course, our emails filled up with suggestions and thoughts and wants from our community, our parents and our students. And I think it's imperative that as, superintendent, members of the superintendency, as well as governing board, that we have this discussion. Is it something that we, as a school district, would be able to pull off? Well, I guarantee you we can do anything that we're able to do with the guidelines that are set in place. But we also have to be cautious. And so I'm very interested in hearing your thoughts and ideas related to this.
Well, Ms. Ugetti's points are well taken, and that is that all of the experiences that we are currently enduring are fluid, and they change from moment to moment, day to day, hour to hour. And so what we may say this evening may have to change tomorrow or the following day, but could be left open. There are lots of logistical pieces that need to be discussed and implemented, related to the supervision, related to the distancing, related to any variety of things. And those continue to concern me. The live streaming is no small task in 5, 6 different locations for any school district, let alone ours. And so those are the items that concern me, but I'm not opposed to leaving the option open.
Dr. Santa Cruz, may I ask?
Yes, go ahead.
Dr. McCord, I know you just talked a little bit about what Chandler sent out today, and I just want to clarify, as of what their information is that this would be a graduation that only the students would be attending, the parents, as of right now. I mean, like I said, it could change tomorrow, but as of what they know right now, it would be just the students, correct?
As of right now, we're talking just students, with the possibility, of course, like you said, of being able to add a limited number of people in an audience, and I would believe they'd be social distance as well.
Well, my biggest frustration with this entire situation is just the unknown of, us trying to make sure that we do the very best for our students. And, I think that what you presented with the information that you had and that we had, that is amazing. Is it possible for us to do both?
You know what, I want to believe in this situation, anything's possible. Of course, I would still rely on what the guidance that would come from the governor's office. And if he's going to allow larger groups to assemble with, or still adhering to social distancing guidelines, yeah, this is something that would be a stretch for us. I mean, as you can see, putting the virtual piece together is a task. We had conversations with high school principals this afternoon, Ms. Taylor and I, and to sum it up, they'll do whatever we ask them to do, and they'll do it with a smile on their face, and they'll do whatever they can for their kid. But being able to do something like this in the first or second week in June, in terms of just organizing, getting it done, yes, we would be able to do it. But again, I don't know what the circumstances will be statewide in terms of restrictions.
So if tomorrow, let's just say, in that the governor comes out and says that everything's going to be okay and we can do whatever we want, how could we pull it off?
So first and foremost, we would go forward with our virtual, just because I think that is extremely important. And that is a known right now. That is something that we know that we can do. And if tomorrow the governor said, yeah, we can figure this out and we can move forward with graduations, I still want to move forward with the virtual for the mere fact that he may say that on Wednesday and then on Friday, something happens and that gets changed again. Going back to my statement that I don't want to keep disappointing students. But we would be able to do it.
Thank you.
Board members? Go ahead.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Carr.
If I can comment. Thank you.
Okay.
I think if I can put in my words, Dr. McCord, what I'm hearing and what I'm understanding from a lot of input from a lot of parents from a lot of different perspectives. One, we all want these seniors to have an experience. I've yet to talk to anybody that likes the fact that we've ended the school year and likes the fact that we're not able to bring these seniors together to celebrate. As a parent, many of us have personally experienced the effects of this. I don't have a child graduating from high school, but I've already missed a daughter's graduation from college who commencement was canceled. It hurts. You know that your child hurts. They put a lot of work into this. I've had a son who had a wedding planned. That wedding plans were set aside, and he did get married, but with 8 people instead of the planned party. We know as a board how much difficulty goes into these decisions, and that it's personal because it's personal to our children whom we love. So to the parents and to the students, please know that whatever decision comes tonight, whether we continue the path, whether we modify it, whether we add something, we know how hard this is. So now we're looking at a question of certainty. If we proceed with the plan that the principals and superintendency has put in place for a virtual graduation, we have something that's certain. At least we can celebrate your accomplishments. It might not be how we want it to be. We know it's not how you want it to be. Then we can go the additional route of discussing whether we hold something in person in early June at some time. We recognize that whatever plans we put in place now are uncertain. We want to accommodate, and we would be doing that because we care and want the seniors to have that experience. But it's uncertain because we don't know what restrictions will be lifted. I will say up until today, 90% of the feedback that I was receiving from parents was, hey, we want our kids to be able to get together, but you're putting together a plan that's the best plan of any of our neighboring districts. In fact, I've talked with parents who were in Chandler School District that I know that were admitting that they liked our plans better than Chandler's. Today, there was a switch that happened. One of our neighboring districts put out an email saying, hey, we're going to plan this. We know there's a lot of uncertainty. Many parents are taking it as if it's going to happen, but one, we don't know whether those restrictions are going to be lifted, how they're going to be. I know that district, to their credit, is working with the governor's office and the health department to try and do it in a way that will be acceptable. But their own letter indicates a lot of uncertainty. I am supportive of trying to find ways that would enable our seniors to get together, if we can do that in a reasonable fashion. But we recognize that any plans we put in place are conditioned on those trigger points, as you mentioned, Dr. McCord, that would enable this to move forward. I am appreciative of the hard work that's gone in. Even during this board meeting, I've gotten texts and emails, some saying this is awesome and some saying this isn't what we want. The community split, and that's because we all want what's best for our children. So my concern would be if we move forward with a second optional ceremony that you suggested, and again, I'm in favor if we can pull it off, but my concern would be we have to do it soon enough to make it meaningful. There are suggestions that we could put out into August or even December. The reality is the further we go out, if we go out beyond a week or two, families start to leave, students leave. Some colleges are going to open, some colleges aren't. some students are enrolled and will begin service in the military. Some students are going to serve missions, as was mentioned in Dr. Castille's letter. The more and more time that goes by, the smaller and smaller group that we're going to be able to get together. So my thought would be, if we go down that route, it's got to be sooner, the first half of June, than later, because we'll never gather everybody together.
Mr. Carr, I would agree with you on everything you just said. And I'd like to add that I think in the letter I sent to the community, this would be an optional. And I'm not just saying necessarily from a district's point of view, I'm talking from the individual's point of view. If there is a family that just says, you know what, the virtual is the way to go, I'm not interested in this. I still think as much as safeguards you put together, I still don't feel safe, and I don't want my child involved with that. That we completely understand that. And so I just wanted to add that piece into it, that this would not be mandated. This would be strictly optional for those that wanted to attend.
Other board members, Ms. Wood, would you like to weigh in?
Yes, please. Thanks, Dr. Santa Cruz. I guess going along with that last comment, Dr. McCord, it's interesting. We've received many emails both ways. There are some parents who've said, please keep the virtual, that for health reasons for myself or my children, that is the best way for us to celebrate graduation this year. And then there's others who've said, please let our kids get together, because there's nothing like seniors being able to get together and celebrate that together. So again, as we mentioned, we're trying to balance the many needs, and we're trying to balance the safety and health of our students with the huge desire that we have to celebrate our students and to give them something to remember, as this has been a kind of a disappointing end of this school year. Nothing that we would have chosen for them. I have a senior myself graduating, and it's and other high school students myself, and it's been a lot of loss and disappointment as you think about it. It's just like everyone mentioned, everyone's faced it in all their different walks of their life. So I think the virtual option, when it's going to come together, I think the final product is going to be something that families will enjoy and appreciate. I think obviously the filming of it is a bit underwhelming, and our students might feel that as they go in. But I think to be able to have your grandparents watching and have, be together as a family, and that graduation night have some element of closure in that kind of a way that we can guarantee, I'm excited about that. And then again, I'm with my other board members. If we can tentatively set a plan, is it, do we want to do an actual on the field graduation? Do we just want to do a celebration on the field where they get together and, do something? I don't know. If we can find a plan of how they can also have that experience, I know that would be meaningful to many, many families and parents who might take advantage of that in early June. And I know that would be asking our principals, our teachers, and others to come back. I think many would, are happy to. I know many teachers I've talked to who have said this has been the worst. They want to see, that's part of their happiness too, is to watch these students graduate, the students that they care about, and to celebrate with them that night. And it's taking it away from all of us. So I think the virtual, I'm really pleased with how it's going to turn out, and I hope that we will be able to go forward with that and support that. And then again, as this new idea has come about, just with the change yesterday with Governor Ducey opening a few things up, and all of a sudden there's maybe some leeway and some opportunity that we could maybe gather in a certain way. I would like us to continue to look at that and have a plan, see what we could put together that way.
Thank you, Ms. Wood. Dr. McCord, do you have enough information? Is there any additional?
Dr. Santa Cruz, I did want to say something.
Go ahead, Ms. Humphrey.
Sorry. Okay, first off, I really appreciate the hard work that's gone into the virtual graduation. Obviously, there's been a lot of thought and planning, and I think that is a good option to give everyone an opportunity to see their child graduate in a way that is more than we had hoped previously. I myself, I understand how sad parents are. I do have a daughter graduating from college. We won't be watching her walk across the stage. We will on Friday watch a slideshow, not a virtual graduation, but a slideshow. And it's a little sad, but we're trying to find some things to do. We won't be having family over. We won't be having friends over because of the concern about this virus. So I do understand, how disappointed both students and parents are. I looked at the Arizona Department of Health website today just to see where we are. On April 27th, we had 416 new cases, and today was our highest day of death so far today. 33 deaths have been reported. That may not be an accurate number. It may take a few more days to get a more accurate number. Today we had 350 new cases. We've been trying to stay home and keep people from getting sick by staying home. We had 446 cases on April 30th. So we are actually going down a little bit. And I understand the governor is anxious to reopen things. However, both Dr. Anthony Fauci and Dr. Deborah Birx have stated that it's probably early to open things. The fact is that we have a very contagious virus, more contagious than the flu, and it's can be very severe and deadly, more deadly than the flu. And even some of the younger people that get this, even those who are asymptomatic, have had strokes and neurological problems. So I think we're talking about something that's really serious. And as much as I want to have, be able to see a graduation, social distancing is for those times when we absolutely have to go out. I'm concerned that something we do as a district not be the impetus of spreading this virus further. So I think we have to also think about our staff. I know students are more likely to not have it as severely, but we have to think about staff members who would also be involved if we did something later, like in June. I'm wondering, and I would want Dr. McCord to check on this, would there be a liability if someone chose to come to this optional graduation and became ill later? I think we need to check into that. And I do want to remind us that even though this hasn't been with us very long, just for the months of March and April, there are 70,000 grieving American families. So I think we have to take the fact that that we're living in a new age. My understanding is that until we have a vaccine and have that immunity, that we may, it might be go out for a little while, shelter back in place. And so I think the idea of, maybe we'll be able to do something in June. We still have the same challenges in June that we have today. And I'm not sure that it's the best option to choose to have something on the field with, even if we keep people 6 feet apart. So those are my thoughts. I understand how difficult this is for parents, but I think we want to think about what is safe for everyone, including students and staff.
I think it's important to state that Governor Ducey did not say we can gather in large groups. He relaxed some things as it relates to restaurants and hair salons and even retail. But I watch those press conferences every time they come on, and the order is still stay healthy, stay safe, stay connected. And so I have a feeling that's going to be relaxed a little bit over the next couple weeks. And that's just me guessing, but if I'm understanding some things as I read between the lines as we move forward, I can see some of that happening. So it might be in our best interest to plan for the best, hope for the best, and then if something doesn't happen, then we're not able to go through with it. But the last thing I want to do is continue to disappoint our 2020 graduates, as I know all of you feel the same way. But if there's a possibility that we can gather at some point in time in the very near future, I think we should be looking down that road.
Weigh in, I would concur with your assessment, Dr. McCord, and that is in the eventuality, because this is so fluid, that we should plan for the possibility, and with the caveat that it can and will be canceled at a moment's notice if it isn't viable to do. With relationship to liability, I know that you will check with legal counsel that since it is optional and voluntary, that anyone who decides that that isn't available would sign a waiver of some sort, absolving the district of any liability related to that. Now, that's a difficult one to answer, but I think it's, again, being proactive is important. But we have plans in place for something that is very certain with our virtual graduation, and to proceed with the possibility that things will become opportune for our students, and be ready if something happens is not necessarily a bad thing to do.
Dr. Santa Cruz, can I say one more thing, please?
Absolutely.
As you know, I've been doing this a little bit even longer than you. And in my 49 years in education, I think this is probably the most agonizing decision I've ever had to make or be a part of. And I want our community and our seniors that have worked so hard to know that we recognize all of the work that they've done, but this is out of our control. And I would just like to say thank you to Dr. McCord and the cabinet. I think you have done an amazing job of trying to find something that's an alternative. And I really appreciate it. I appreciate the input from our parents. And I hope that there's a way that we can make both things work. But I think, like everybody else has said, it's day by day. It's actually hour by hour. So, it's a no-win situation, and it's a sad situation. And, we can only try to be safe and do the best, because our seniors that are graduating this year are our future in this country.
Thank you, Mr. Jetty. And as the days pass, the local and national media will begin to broadcast and share stories of all kinds of innovative plans that districts across the country and across the state have implemented to honor the graduates of the class of 2020. Will only serve to create the anxiety in our district among our parents and our students. And we would like for our students and our parents to know that we see those stories too. We hear their concerns, and we share the anxiety and the angst that goes along with viewing any of those stories. Dr. McCord?
Thank you, Dr. Santa Cruz, governing board members. I'd just like to thank Marcy Taylor for all the hard work. She's running around here making sure VX3 is taken care of and all of our students are taken care of. A huge shout out goes to our principals in all of the fine detail planning and communicating they're doing with our students and our families. This is, again, like you've all said, an interesting time, a trying time, and we're out there doing something that I think no one's ever attempted before, and I think off well. I just want to make sure that everybody here had an understanding of what we were doing, how we were doing it, and what the future may look like if we're able to gather by the beginning of June.
Thank you, Dr. McCord. Board members, any additional comment, question? If not, we have reviewed all three of our work study items, and we will adjourn this portion of the meeting.